You are sitting there right now watching this screen. You are completely oblivious to the fragility of your reality. The power flickers, your network drops, and your brain assumes it is just a temporary glitch. What is your plan when the darkness lasts longer than a week? Most people think they know exactly what to do when the grid collapses. They have watched the movies and formulated a fantasy where they become the ultimate survivor. The brutal truth is that 99% of you will immediately drive straight into a fatal funnel. I am going to show you why your instincts are deadly. Today, we are breaking down the 9 most lethal places you must avoid during a catastrophic power outage. While the unprepared masses flock to these locations out of programmed habit, you are going to move in the opposite direction. You can keep scrolling and trust your luck, or you can learn the mathematics of survival. Before we dig into the architecture of your potential demise, let us get one thing straight. If you want to be part of the informed minority who actually survives the initial panic, hit subscribe right now. Drop a comment with your primary bug-out location so I can tell you why it fails. Let us get tactical. Let us start with the most predictable death trap on the board, the local supermarket. The second the lights die, the primal brain takes over entirely. Everyone rushes to secure the exact same calories at the exact same time. They think they are being clever by beating the rush. Here is the logistics reality they do not teach you in high school economics. Modern grocery stores operate on a just-in-time inventory system with less than 3 days of stock. When 5,000 desperate locals converge on a building designed to hold 500, the physical pressure becomes immense. The math simply does not work. Thermodynamically speaking, a building packed shoulder to shoulder rapidly rises in temperature. A single human outputs 400 BTUs per hour. Add panic, complete darkness, and limited exits, and you have created a classic crush scenario. While they are suffocating in aisle 4, you are already miles away. You should have secured your caloric baseline months ago. The grocery store is a monument to societal fragility. You cannot fight a mob of hungry parents over a can of beans and expect to walk away unharmed. Stay out of the commercial food zones entirely. But it gets exponentially worse when we look at our second lethal location, the neighborhood gas station. The power fails and immediately every vehicle in a 10-mile radius lines up for fuel. They assume the underground tanks hold infinite gasoline. Congratulations, you think like the 99%. Here is the physics lesson regarding subterranean fuel storage. Those massive tanks require heavy electrical turbines to pump the dense liquid up to the surface. Without the grid, that fuel is trapped beneath concrete, completely inaccessible to the screaming mob. Yet the mob will still gather, engines idling and tempers flaring. The vapor volatility at a crowded gas station during a panic event is a statistical nightmare. One spark, one panicked idiot with a lighter, and the residual fumes ignite instantly. You are not going there to top off your tank. The attack surface is simply too massive to defend. You are going to map your required fuel reserves today and keep them safely stored at your primary location. Let the masses fight over empty underground tanks. By the time they realize the pumps are dead, you will have already established your defensive perimeter at home. Now, let us talk about the third location that will get you killed faster than starvation. I am talking about the local pharmacy. This is not about people looking for blood pressure medication. You have to think about the desperate demographic that targets these buildings immediately. The narcotic addicts will hit the pharmacies before the average citizen even realizes the grid is down. Pharmacies are essentially glass boxes filled with highly controlled chemical targets. Their physical security relies entirely on electronic alarms and police response times. Once the vacuum protocol initiates, those glass facades offer zero ballistic protection. It becomes a free-for-all war zone for the most desperate and violent elements of your city. You might think you can slip in and grab some antibiotics, but you are walking into an active ambush. Desperate looters see an unprepared civilian with a backpack as a mobile resupply drop, while they are bleeding out over a bottle of painkillers. You are relying on the trauma kit you already built. Stay away from the medical honeypots. Sepsis will kill you in a week, but a desperate addict with a tire iron will end you in 3 seconds. And here is the kicker that most people never consider: the local gun store. Every armchair survivor has the exact same brilliant idea: to go loot the armory. Forget the Hollywood apocalypse fantasies. Striking a tactical supply store during a societal collapse is basically committing suicide by geometry. Let me teach you something about structural defense. Gun store owners are already heavily armed, paranoid, and operating out of reinforced concrete bunkers. They have compartmentalized security, interlocking fields of fire, and heavy ballistic glass. If the owner is gone, the place is locked down tighter than a drum. If they are home, you are trespassing in a designated kill zone. The fatal crossfire at these locations will be mathematically staggering. Multiple groups of armed, untrained civilians converging on a single hardened structure guarantees massive casualties. You should already have your defensive tools secured, cleaned, and staged. If you are shopping for a weapon after the collapse begins, you are already dead. The ammunition alone weighs too much to carry efficiently on foot. You cannot outrun a bullet, and you certainly cannot outsmart a paranoid business owner defending his livelihood. Avoid the armory at all costs. Moving on to location number 5, the massive big box hardware store. This seems like a smart play to the uninitiated. You need lumber, nails, axes, and water filtration gear to fortify your home. Unfortunately, 10,000 other local residents just had the exact same brilliant revelation. You are walking into a maze of industrial shelving and blind corners. The logistical layout of a hardware store makes it an operational nightmare. The aisles are narrow, the ceilings are high, and there is zero natural light when the grid drops. You are surrounded by heavy, blunt objects everywhere. It is a massive cage match in absolute pitch black. People will weaponize hammers, chainsaws, and pipes over a single box of deck screws. The sheer weight of construction materials makes rapid egress impossible. You cannot sprint away from danger while carrying an 80-pound bag of concrete mix. Instead of joining the gladiatorial combat over a sheet of plywood, use alternative supply chains. Scavenge from abandoned construction sites on the periphery. Better yet, stockpile your fortification materials right now. While they are fighting in aisle 12, you are quietly reinforcing your primary entry points. Let us shift gears to the 6th trap: government relief centers and emergency shelters. When the lights go out and the food spoils, the authorities will set up aid stations at schools or stadiums. They will broadcast a message telling you to come for food and safety. This is the biggest psychological trap of them all. The biological reality of packing 1,000 stressed bodies into a high school gymnasium is horrific. You are creating a massive viral load concentration camp. Without running water or power for ventilation, sanitation completely collapses within 48 hours. The disease vectors alone will eliminate half the population inside that building. Furthermore, you are trading your autonomy for a plastic bottle of warm water and a cot. Once you enter a quarantine zone or relief shelter, you do not leave until they say so. You surrender your gear, your mobility, and your tactical advantage. The institutional control strips you of your ability to adapt to changing threats. You must build your resource sustainability today so you never have to beg a bureaucrat for your own survival. Stay entirely off their grid. The 7th location you must avoid is the banking district and standalone ATM vestibules. I see this constantly in disaster simulations. People panic and immediately try to withdraw cash, thinking paper money will save them. They operate under the delusion that the old rules of economics still apply. Here is the mechanical truth. ATMs run on electricity and network connectivity. The screen is blank, the vault is locked, and the machine is a useless brick of metal. Even if you found an operational machine, those enclosed glass vestibules are incredibly predictable ambush points for predators. Criminals know desperate people will flock there, making you a stationary target. Fiat currency becomes worthless paper the moment the electronic ledger vanishes. Your attack surface increases exponentially when you stand in an illuminated glass box at midnight holding useless paper rectangles. It is absolute tactical foolishness. You should be trading intangible assets like water filtration, antibiotics, and calories. Forget the banks and focus on actual human survival metrics. Gold and silver might have value later, but on day 3 of a blackout, a pound of rice is worth a $100 bill. Location number 8 is the highway interchange or major bridge leaving your city. The instant panic sets in, everyone decides to flee to their imaginary cabin in the woods. They pack their sedans to the roof and hit the interstate. They enthusiastically volunteer to become part of a 50-mile parking lot. Run the numbers on gridlock mathematics. When a major artery experiences a minor accident, traffic backs up for miles. Now imagine multiple accidents, abandoned vehicles out of gas, and zero emergency services to clear the wreckage. The highway becomes a permanent fatal funnel, trapping thousands of angry people. If you are caught on a bridge or elevated overpass during a societal collapse, you have zero lateral mobility. You cannot go forward, you cannot go back, and you are entirely exposed to the elements. You become a sitting duck for anyone with a rifle on higher ground. You must establish secondary and tertiary evacuation routes using back roads, trails, or railways. Never take the path of most resistance. Your bug-out vehicle is useless if it is boxed in by 500 terrified commuters. Leave early or dig in, but never join the highway herd. Finally, the ninth lethal trap is the marina or local waterfront. There is a pervasive fantasy that escaping by boat is the ultimate bug-out strategy. People assume the water is unregulated and inherently safe. They rush to the docks to steal a vessel, creating a chaotic bottleneck. Let me explain the physics of aquatic survival. Water is a massive thermal sink. It will drain your body heat 25 times faster than air. If you end up in the water during a chaotic dockside scramble, hypothermia becomes your immediate killer within minutes. The math is brutal. Furthermore, waterways are natural choke points that are easily monitored and controlled by modern pirates. Unless you are a highly experienced mariner with a fully provisioned, offshore-capable vessel, the water is an absolute death sentence. You are trapped on a floating island with zero cover from incoming fire. Stay off the water unless it is your absolute last resort. You cannot hide footprints on the ocean, but you can vanish into a forest. Map your overland routes and stick to solid ground where you dictate the terms of engagement. The aquatic escape is a lethal illusion. These 9 locations share a critical common denominator. They are all magnets for the unprepared herd. When you see the masses moving toward these structures, your tactical imperative is to move away. This requires supreme discipline and the intelligence to overcome your own societal programming entirely. You have to fight your instincts. Now we must face the dark truth of this entire scenario. Knowing these locations are death traps does not make you invincible. Nothing makes you invincible. You might perfectly avoid the grocery store and the pharmacy and still fail. You could execute every tactical maneuver perfectly and still catch a stray round in your own living room. Survival always involves a terrifying degree of luck. Eventually, you have to decide who you help and who you turn away at your door. The psychological toll is immense. When the starving neighbors realize you stayed away from the lethal zones and still have food, they will come knocking. There is no right answer to that equation, just brutal trade-offs. Better odds do not equal guarantees, but I will take better odds over blind panic every single time. Here is your choice right now. You can close this video, go back to your comfortable life, and assume the government will save you. Or you can open a new tab right now and start mapping your local topography with absolute ruthless precision. The clock is ticking. Identify every grocery store, gas station, and pharmacy within a 5-mile radius of your home. Note the choke points. Calculate the attack surfaces. Determine your ingress and egress routes that completely bypass these fatal funnels. 99% of you will not do this because it is uncomfortable. That is the difference between the 1% who think they are prepared and the 0.1% who actually act. Do not be a statistic. Do not walk into the meat grinder with a smile on your face and empty pockets. Take control of your perimeter. Subscribe if you are part of the 0.1% who takes action. Drop a comment with your biggest tactical question about urban evasion. Class dismissed. Welcome to the wasteland. Your move.